This is Russell Scott. I have an interesting story to tell you about Pitcairn. Pitcairn is a very interesting place. It's an extremely remote island in the middle of the South Pacific. And if you recognize the name Pitcairn, it's because of the Mutiny on the Bounty story. Pitcairn is the island that the mutineers ultimately settled on, trying to evade the Admiralty and being hanged. Now, the story of the Mutiny on the Bounty, many people have read the book. I've read the book. I've watched the movies. I'm a huge fan of the story. But the story is bullshit. The skeleton of the story is true, except for the major fault being Captain Bligh, who was really a lieutenant. Lieutenant Bligh made captain just for this one voyage, this voyage to Tahiti to get the breadfruit. Captain Bligh was not the ruthless man he was made out to be. In fact, if you look at the actual record of Captain Bligh, he was a very lenient man. When you would go out on these big ships, and the Bounty was not a big ship, it was actually a relatively small ship for the Navy. But when you would go out on these long journeys, it's not like you had an 8-hour sleep. You would sleep 4 hours and you would be working the rest of the time. Small amount of time for fun, for social activities, but it was essentially a lot of work. Well, Captain Bligh, the real Captain Bligh, gave his men an 8-hour sleep. This was unheard of. But he was a well-read man. He believed in health. He believed in his soldiers being healthy for the betterment of all. So he was a really interesting guy. History has misjudged him, or maybe we're just in the process of re-educating ourselves. Captain Bligh was not a horrible man as the famous Mutiny on the Bounty book by Nordhoff and Hall would have you believe. Him keel-hauling or beating dead men, that's all fantasy. All of that was all created by the mutineers in order for them to escape being hanged. To escape the gallows. Anyway, Pitcairn, this island Pitcairn, that's what brings us to today. So, I was reading about the Mutiny on the Bounty and some of these very things I was talking to you about. I'm planning on doing a show about the true story of the Bounty. Some of these shows I do, they're created very quickly, and sometimes they take months and months of research and the right guest before the shows are made and put out there. Merlin, Shakespeare, Jesus. These things take some time to research. The Mutiny on the Bounty takes a little bit of time, as opposed to, say, the latest UFC fight. So I've been working on this. I've been working on this Mutiny on the Bounty story, the real Mutiny on the Bounty. What was it really happened on the Bounty? That's the story. That's the show. And in the process, I learned about Pitcairn. Pitcairn is an interesting place. Pitcairn to this day is populated with the descendants of Fletcher Christian and John Adams. People always mention Fletcher Christian, but people have to understand that John Adams was the only guy alive with 10 other women and 18 children by the time they were actually discovered at Pitcairn. So when they say the descendants of Fletcher Christian, most of these people are related to John Adams. But of course, he's a nobody in the history books, really, except for the fact that he was the one mutineer left. So everyone mentions the Christian family, and there are the Christian family names still to this day on Pitcairn. Now, the island of Pitcairn is very small. In fact, it's only 18 square miles. And of that land, only a small amount of it is really all that usable. Roughly 50 people live there. That number can be 47 or 52. It goes up, it goes down, but it never really deviates too far from 50. It was at its highest points after the Second World War, where it had about 200 people. But now it's down to about 50. So what is so interesting about Pitcairn, other than the mutiny story and the fact that there's 50 people living there? Now, they were separated from the rest of the world. Their morals were different than ours, even though the population of Pitcairn are Seventh-day Adventists. And I didn't know, but apparently being a Seventh-day Adventist means you can be a pedophile. In 2004, charges were laid against 7 men living on Pitcairn and 6 living abroad for multiple counts of sexual encounters with children. That's right. On Pitcairn, it was totally okay. This island of mutineer descendants, it was very much okay. These Seventh-day Adventists to practice in pedophilia. The island, in fact, was rife with it. It was a normal part of life. Grown men having sex with 8-year-old children. Very normal on Pitcairn. Which leads one to believe where this practice came from. Was this inherited as a practice from John Adams? Was John Adams a pedophile? Were the mutineers of the Bounty pedophiles? Were they having sex with Tahitian children? So you say to yourself, well, listen, Russell, they had no connection with the outside world. They didn't know that things weren't that way. Okay, so that's why they had leniency given to them. They were given some basic slap on their wrists, and they spent some time at a very easygoing jail at Bob's Valley, they call it. This is the island of Bob's Valley. They were allowed to come and go at certain times. You know, they couldn't destroy the island of Pitcairn, so they basically had these men that were jailed. They were allowed to come in and out to make sure they got their work done. In 2010, the then mayor Mike Warren faced 25 charges of possessing images and videos of child pornography on his computer. In fact, you can see some videos on YouTube with Mike Warren doing some interviews via satellite to people in Britain. And when asked, do they eat pork, he simply answered, it is against the rules of Leviticus. If you read the Bible, it clearly says in Leviticus that you can't eat pork. So the mayor of Pitcairn was running under the law of Leviticus. This is where you stone women. Just read Leviticus. I've read it. It's just nonsense. And this Mike Warren, who comes off as a total douchebag jerk-off in this interview I'm talking to you about, he subsequently gets himself busted for child porn on his computer. They barely can pull down any speeds there. But if you're the mayor of Pitcairn, oh, there is enough speed. There's enough speed to get your child porn. Somehow he was able to find it and download it all on the United Kingdom's dime. Because that's right, Pitcairn is 100% subsidized by the United Kingdom. This story gets weirder and weirder. To give you an idea of how understood the pedophilia situation is there, if you're under 16 years of age, you need a special entry clearance application. And as of 2016, this year, the UK's Foreign and Commonwealth Office does not allow their staff based on Pitcairn to be accompanied by their children. If you got a kid and you take them to Pitcairn, the child will be abused. Children living on Pitcairn now are being abused. The government on Pitcairn is corrupt. And I'm going to go to the next step here. There are many videos. There are many documentaries and videos out there now on YouTube. One of the really good documentary is Take Me to Pitcairn, which does not mention the pedophilia or any negative aspect to Pitcairn whatsoever. It's about one man's journey to Pitcairn Island. Watch it. Take Me to Pitcairn. Journey to Pitcairn. The people of Pitcairn speak. Repopulation of Pitcairn. Pitcairn has about 50 people living there. It is everyone's basic understanding that eventually the society there will die unless they bring in people from the outside world. So, a few years ago, Pitcairn put out a worldwide call to help repopulate Pitcairn. Come to paradise. Pitcairn needs you. So you can go to their website right now, immigration.gov.pn. Repopulation, Government of the Pitcairn Islands. And if you go through the processes, you will find that you'll have to pay a $500 application fee at the end of it. A $500 application fee that I paid. I also sent them a very well-written email as to what my qualifications and reason for that I would be a benefit to the island are. These included the fact that in my real life I'm a building contractor and other things that I feel that would have brought certain, I'm of a good age, there were certain financial requirements at the island. You need to have 30 grand in cash if you want to come to that island. And I thought, well, I can get this money together. I can build a house on Pitcairn. Land is free. There are no taxes. This is an island of pedophiles that pay no taxes, and they are ripping the world off at $500 a pop. Come, move to Pitcairn. You think I'm mad because I didn't get accepted? I couldn't care less. I was just trying to see if they accept people at all. And don't even start with the, you just wanted to live on pedophile island. Listen, that was supposed to have all been taken care of back in 2004. As it turns out, the mayor, Mike Warren, and his Leviticus rulings of law, Seventh-day Adventist. If you ever drive through British Columbia and you go through any of these small towns, you always find these Seventh-day Adventist church. They take over these little places. They feed on the weak. Yeah, I said it. Fucking A. And these people of Pitcairn are no fucking different. They're crazy. They're fucking... Watch the videos. Watch the movies on Pitcairn. These are like Appalachian types. Trailer park trash of the sea. $500. You know how many people have moved to Pitcairn? 1. The worldwide relocation to Pitcairn. How many people over the past 5 years have moved there? 1. 1. You don't pay taxes at Pitcairn. They give you land for free. How many people do you think have moved to Pitcairn over the past 5 years? 1. 1 person. How many people do you think have applied to live there? Land is free. No taxes. They say that the honey there is the purest on earth. In fact, the queen only eats honey from the bees of Pitcairn. Isn't that a trip? That's right. The bees of Pitcairn are disease-free. Are you telling me that nobody wants to live there? That only 1 person in the past 5 years wanted to live there? No. That's not what's happening. They're taking the 500 and the application part of it goes in the trash. Ka-ching! $500. How many people worldwide have applied, do you think, to get into Pitcairn? If you go through YouTube, you'll find over 500,000 views on their videos. You telling me only 1 person applied? I know I applied, so that's 1 person. 37-year-old Russell Scott, building contractor, strapping man, educated, expert in communications. Here's the $500. Do you have the money? Yeah, I got the money to live there. They don't want you living there. This is their island. The whole repopulation of Pitcairn story is a scam. They don't want you living there. It's theirs. What do the tourists say? You know what? The chances of you actually getting your foot on Pitcairn are so slim that they say more people travel to Antarctica. Pitcairn. Pitcairn, the island, descendants of pedophiles, thieves. That's right, the thieves that stole the bounty. Arsonists. Thieves. Pedophiles. The cruise ships go by Pitcairn. Usually you'll go to Tahiti, then you'll go out to Pitcairn, you'll even go to Easter Island. That's the trip. Now, it makes all the sense in the world that a big cruise ship, they're not going to tender in all these people from the ship onto the island. That little island would not be able to handle it. That just makes sense. But every single person from that island goes to that ship. And every single person on that island is stocked full of merchandise. And they tender up to the cruise ships and they get on board and they're hawking t-shirts, purses, art. It's all crap. And most of it has the label, Made in China. That's right. It's made in China, this Pitcairn shit. It's not even made in Pitcairn. It's not some authentic Pitcairn hand-woven shirt. It's a 100% cotton gildan, made in China. Nobody lands on Pitcairn. If you're really, really lucky, and again, the same amount of people that land on Antarctica, if you're really lucky and you got lots of money, you can pay a charter boat, and you might get yourself close enough that they'll tender you in. But they don't like it. They don't like people on their island. They don't like people with cameras on their island. The BBC even at one time was turned away. Don't come on the island with your cameras. But yet the island of Pitcairn is totally run with subsidy. The UK subsidized Pitcairn to the tune of £10 million. The European Union, €5 million. They barely got internet there. You can't even get cable television. It's an island in the middle of fucking nowhere. I get it. You're not going to have everything. But if you look at that island and the way everything's going, where did the money go? They're stealing $500 from all the applicants to Pitcairn. If you apply to live on Pitcairn, you will not be accepted. If the doctor dies on Pitcairn or no longer wants to live there or work there, then you may get on if you're a doctor. But you and the family are not going to be applying your $500 and moving to Pitcairn and living the life of your dreams, raising your family, living with the disease-free bees, where the coral is so pure that researchers, check it out, check out the videos, guys. The researchers are saying this is the cleanest, purest reef on Earth. You're not going to be living there. The repopulation of Pitcairn is a scam. It's a scam to get your $500. It's a scam to get you to visit Pitcairn in high hopes that one day you'll actually live there. Again, you will not. And chances are when you go to visit the island, you're not going on. In fact, the chances are so goddamn good, if you got on, it'd be hitting the lottery ticket. No, you're going to end up buying a Chinese shirt that says Pitcairn on it. How much does it cost to stay at Pitcairn if you should so happen to get on that island? $150 per night. If you stayed 10 nights in Pitcairn, you're broke. They'll take all your money. Don't go to Pitcairn. Pitcairn's a joke. Pitcairn's a fucked up place run by fucked up people. They are thieves. They are pedophiles. Pedophiles, however you want to pronounce it. They are fucked up people. Do the research. Apply. Send your $500 over to Pitcairn. If you want to call it a donation, maybe you can write it off as a tax expense. I don't know. I know I'm writing mine off. It was research for the Russell Scott Show. Pitcairn. It's a scam. Check out the videos. Pitcairn. Take me to Pitcairn. Really good one. And notice the people. Look at the people. Watch the pedophile Trouble in Paradise documentary, which strongly features Jackie Christian, who, by the way, to this day is pushing this repopulation of Pitcairn scam. Oh, another thing I forgot to tell you. If you watch any of these come to Pitcairn, they'll show you these beautiful beaches and the coral and all these things. They are not showing the island that you'll be living on, Pitcairn Island. No. They're showing Henderson, Ueno, Ducie, the islands of Pitcairn. The Pitcairn Islands are 4 islands, but only one of them is inhabited by people. The rest have crabs and really cool birds and the most incredibly pure ecosystems barely touched by humans. You ain't going to Henderson. You ain't going to be on an unbelievable beach. If you get to Pitcairn, which you're not, but if you get onto Pitcairn, it's a rocky beach. And the wind is fierce. And the people are fucked up. Save your money. Don't fall for the Tahiti treat. Pitcairn is a scam. The people of Pitcairn are disgusting. Check out the reviews. All the reviews on the cruise ships about Pitcairn. Incredible disappointment. Pitcairn is a scam. Don't go there. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Russell Scott. Today I want to talk more about Pitcairn Island. If you haven't heard it yet, you may want to check out my video, Don't Go To Pitcairn. Corrupt island, run by pedophiles, earning millions, repopulation scam exposed. A lot of people have sent me messages, have talked to me personally about it. It got a lot of interest. And people who have watched the video have researched Pitcairn, and they're all pretty disgusted with what they found. Pitcairn was the source of a huge news story about 15 years ago in the UK, but since then it's, pretty much died off. And it's a very interesting, fucked up place. This is an island in the middle of the South Pacific where the people who live there pay no taxes, have sex with little children, they rip off travelers, they charge $500 to apply to live there, and they accept no one. All of this was detailed in the first video. And it's incontrovertible. That's a big word, eh? Incontrovertible that pedophilia exists there. It does. The people of Pitcairn have proven themselves time and time again. In 2004, the UK government arrested and imprisoned several of the men living on Pitcairn, including the mayor of Pitcairn. Understand, this isn't an island of 1,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 people. This is an 18 square mile island with less than 50 people living on it. Everybody on that island knows what's going on. So in 2004, Steve Christian, that's right, Christian, the descendant of Fletcher Christian. I bet Fletcher Christian sure would be proud. Yeah, he'd be real proud of Steve. Steve became the mayor, the dentist, and the engineer of Pitcairn. And believe it or not, that position of mayor on Pitcairn means you get your pick. You get to pick the girls that you like. It turns out that Steve Christian liked the 12-year-old girls. A lot of the other men did too. But if you wanted to get the girls before they were busted, they had to go quite a bit younger than 12, just to be sure. So many of the 9, 10, 11-year-old girls, the ones that Steve Christian wasn't quite yet interested in, would be victims for the people who weren't mayor. If you're the mayor of Pitcairn, you get your pick. Remember, you're like a king. A mayor may not sound like a big title, but when you are the head of government on an island of 50 people, you are a king. And the king does whatever the hell he wants. So Steve Christian then left the post of mayor, went to jail, served some pathetic, phony baloney time for it. Basically they say, listen, these are islanders, they don't know any better. Yeah, he's a dentist. Sure, he traveled. Sure, he met Prince Charles. That's right, Steve Christian, he knew Prince Charles because he was in this very interesting place, Pitcairn, the home of the descendants of the HMS Bounty. It's a huge part of British history. So guys like Prince Charles would, fly Steve Christian and his family up to England. They'd meet them, sit down with them, and I'm sure that they shared a bit of that Pitcairn honey. As I said in the last video, the bees of Pitcairn are disease-free. The honey of Pitcairn is the cleanest and best on earth. It's even better than the Manuka honey of New Zealand. Pitcairn honey is the caviar of all honeys. Very rare. When was the last time you saw Pitcairn honey on the shelf? But you know what? It's the only honey eaten by the royal family. Or the Rothschilds. The aristocracy, the elites, who are also very much tied in with pedophilia. Oh, let's eat the honey from the bees of Pitcairn. I hear the pedophilia is absolutely rife there. You never know. Anyway, this uneducated Steve Christian guy would have known, especially after he had been to Britain and been traveling and whatnot, that having sex with children was not what you do But we didn't know any better. Don't punish me. We didn't know. Steve Christian and his disgusting wife laugh it off. In fact, I even got a little clip for you. So this is the ex-mayor of Pitcairn. This is what his wife has to say about it, okay?
There's nothing to hide. What's to hide?
Well, in Britain, underage sex is against the law.
Oh, well, we didn't know that really, We grew up on an island. We didn't grow up in the city.
Yeah. And here are some of the words of Steve Christian himself. I'll play that for you.
What were they asking you?
About, it was just whether you'd touched or whether you'd made suggestions or maybe, it was this sort of stuff. And I just couldn't believe I was shaking. And on the interview, I know the guy was getting pissed off because he would say, Mr. Christian is laughing. Do you think it's funny? I said, I think it is funny. I said, I think it's bloody ridiculous.
He doesn't think it's ridiculous because he's innocent. He thinks it's ridiculous as he flashes a very smug, shit-eating grin. He thinks it's ridiculous because having sex with children is totally normal. In 2016, the UK made it law that any of its government staff going to Pitcairn, because, this is an extremely interesting place. Its ecology is totally unique. So government workers do go there, scientists go there, and to the surrounding islands. But if you go there, by law, UK, 2016, children? No, they are not allowed. You are not allowed to go to Pitcairn. You're too young. Do you know of anywhere on Earth where you are not allowed to take your children because the chances of them being raped are so high that it would be negligent for you to go there? This is crazy. Pitcairn is such a place. You'd think children wouldn't even be allowed on Pitcairn anymore. But I am sorry to tell you, there are children there. Now, before I play you this clip, I want to tell you one more thing. When Steve Christian had to go to jail, and of course was no longer the mayor, Mike Warren then took over. This is an island in the middle of the South Pacific. How fast do you think their internet there is? I'll answer it for you. It's extremely slow. It's not like they're streaming Netflix in high definition, 4K. It's not happening. It's like what the internet was here 15, 20 years ago. It's slow as fuck. But Mike Warren, who became the mayor, well, I guess he got some special privileges, being the king of that island. Because in 2012, he was busted with thousands of images of child pornography on his computer. And not just images, but videos. The mayor was able to get the speed. He was able to download the porn he wanted. And the only porn that can satiate a man on Pitcairn is the good stuff. Oh, yeah. What they call the good stuff. Anyway, I promised a clip with a little girl that I would say is probably, maybe 10 years old at the most. Single mother on Pitcairn with this 10-year-old girl. Island of a population less than 50. Rife with pedophilia. 10-year-old girl on this island with a single mom. What is she doing there? Well, she isn't learning fuck all, that's for sure. Listen to the clip.
So what's it like as a mother on Pitcairn? I think it's wonderful for the kids because they get so many opportunities that the kids outside don't have.
Yeah, they get so many opportunities. Yeah, opportunities. You got to go visit the mayor at Sunday. Opportunities. What opportunities are they getting on Pitcairn Island?
You can go out and play until it's dark and then mum calls you in and you have dinner and then you can go outside and play. It's a lot of freedom for the kids.
It's a wonderful life for the kids growing up.
She doesn't quite grasp the concept of outside.
Okay, did you hear that? She doesn't quite grasp the concept of outside.
You ask her a question about New Zealand, what would you like to see there? She just wouldn't get the amount of cars and the amount of people or how big the city was.
Emily, how do you view a city?
What do you think a city's got?
Lots and lots of people.
How many?
I believe 200.
Do you know the capital city of England? Capital city of London. And the whole big city. Guess how many people are in the whole city? How many are in London?
100?
No.
200?
I think it's 11 million.
That's a lot of people.
That'll be crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
How many people in the entire city of London is the question to this 10-year-old girl. 100? 200?
So there's a big world out there to see. Would you like to go and explore it? I really hope you do.
And the guy kind of creeps on her a little bit. I wonder what secret games the islanders of Pitcairn play with the little girls. That visit to the mayor's house. That's Pitcairn. So when I say don't go to Pitcairn, don't go to Pitcairn. Yeah, no shit. Well, we got to get these kids out of there. Kid with a totally warped sense of what's going on. Oatmeal for brains. Let's not beat around the bush. What's the mother doing with the kid on this abandoned island? It sounds to me like she moved there and brought the kid there. Is this how she earns her money? Pitcairn. It's a fucked up place. There's a great documentary, by the way. I mentioned it on the last Pitcairn show. Take Me to Pitcairn. And it's directed by Jules McDonnell. Jules McDonnell has agreed to be on this program. He was on the island. If you watch the documentary, he gets to the island, he does the touristy stuff, which I can assure you takes about 2 hours. Again, 18 square miles. It's just a small place, right? And then he's like, I kind of want to go now. It's pretty obvious, he's being quite polite in the movie, that the people there are not for him. You know, Jules went there to check out the history and the whole mutiny on the Bounty thing. But the people are so fucked up. And he's going to talk about them. If you watch those Pitcairn videos, and there's only 20 or so of them, you'll recognize all the different people on Pitcairn. There's only 50 people. You notice these are the same people. That's the same person from this video, and that's Miranda. So we're going to talk about them. The days of them hiding on Pitcairn Island in anonymity on this paradise for pedophiles, the Tahiti treat. We're going to expose these people. They stole my money. They stole $500 from Russell Scott. So I got pissed off. Now they're fucked. When tourists or anybody interested in Pitcairn Island goes to YouTube to check out some video on Pitcairn, the first thing they're going to see is don't go to Pitcairn. You shouldn't have stole my money because now you're fucked. Who's going to pay you the $500 now? As soon as they see that video, they ain't going to pay. Who the hell is going to want to visit there after seeing that video? They ain't going to want to go. Siege 101, guys. Cut off the supply. I could do 1,000 videos on Pitcairn. Russell Scott has something you guys don't. That's web presence. Joe Schmo does a YouTube video, it gets buried. Russell Scott does a video, it goes to the top of the search rankings. And when we bring in the child care workers from Britain to monitor the situation and see what's going on and talk to the children, that a 10-year-old kid, that's grade 5, okay? Are you smarter than a 5th grader? You know how much you should know by this age? 200 people in London, you know how warped that is? This kid probably has a grade 2 education. She needs to leave the island. It's not sweet, it's not cute, and her mother is either woefully ignorant or worse. You know, if you're a government worker, you can't even take your kids to this island. And they've got kids living there.
And even if the kids don't get raped because you're watching the children, it's not like 10 of them run out and grab the kids and pull them into the woods. But you don't take your kid to an island where 3/4 of the men there are active pedophiles. You don't move your family to an island of pedophiles where the government there are pedophiles, where the kings of the island download as many images and videos as they need. How he was able to find it, God only knows. Maybe his royal friends tipped him off. Pitcairn. It's the Nigerian scam of the South Pacific. Jules McDonnell will be on the next show. Again, Jules McDonnell, the director and star. We're going to talk about his impression of the Islanders. What he saw. What he didn't see. Why he had had enough of the island after only a few short hours. Are you in this fight with me? Are you nodding your head? Is it yes? Is the answer yes? Do you care about the children of Pitcairn? Is the answer yes? Do you want to help? I want your comments on all of the Pitcairn videos on YouTube. After you've listened to this video, I want you to find 1 or 2 or even 3 or more and comment on that video. YouTube, don't go to Pitcairn. We are going to make certain that anyone who wants to travel to Pitcairn, who's considered relocating there, anyone with any interest in Pitcairn whatsoever, will learn the truth. The jig is up. The world caught up to you, Pitcairn. Your secret is out. And you can't hide. You're living in the fishbowl. You're not free. You're in the middle of the South Pacific. The tourists aren't going to go to your island now. It's too weird. And by the way, I don't think they're getting any more money from the UK. The UK already sent them 10 million over the past 10 years. The European Union, 5 million euros. And the island has nothing to show for it. And that is another part of the story. The money that's been pumped into the island and the people who don't actually live on Pitcairn, but are citizens of Pitcairn. They live offshore. You know, they'll go back and they'll visit for the required amount of time to maintain their status as a Pitcairner. Meanwhile, Pitcairn's a tax shelter. Millions of dollars have been pumped into that island. It's 18 square miles. The evidence of that money would be obvious. Nothing has been done there. Nothing. The trailer park trash of the sea you see living there, they all got a little payoff. What they thought was a lot of money. So they would have gotten 5, maybe 10,000. While the mayor, those who control the money, the council, they took the money. And they took it offshore. It ain't on that island. Pitcairn is pure evil. It is not paradise. For these children, it's a prison. It's a prison, and these innocent kids are in the worst part of that jail. They're in the basement, where the most unspeakable things happen. We need to save these kids. I want you to comment on all the other videos you see on Pitcairn. That's how you're going to help me. You don't even have to plug my show. Just type in what you've learned. So those who go to those videos don't somehow miss this information and go there. Make travel plans. Put down deposits. Send that $500 to relocate there in high hopes that they'll get chosen. Don't go to Pitcairn hurts them. Of course it does. This island does not work. Whatever the experiment was of them living there and having autonomy on this island, it doesn't work. Clearly. That whole place needs to be stripped down, and whether or not people should even be living there, that's another question. It's one of the few places on Earth where the reefs and everything is really healthy. So, for you to help. I'm asking for your help. YouTube Pitcairn Islands. You'll see all these videos that come up. Take Me to Pitcairn, The People of Pitcairn Speak, Redfern Natural History Productions, Life on Pitcairn video. Just comment, Don't Go to Pitcairn, YouTube The Russell Scott Show, comment, the island is run by pedophile criminals. Whatever it takes to discredit this place, it cannot be disguised and marketed to anyone as some beautiful remote island in the South Pacific where everything is hunky-dory. It's irresponsible. Oh, but our video didn't want to focus on that part of it. We just wanted to talk about the nature and how great Pitcairn... If you're ignoring it, you're aiding and abetting in a crime. They aren't journalists. I'm a journalist. I don't look for conclusions. I find them. And in Pitcairn, we found a doozy. So now you've got some work to do. Won't take you long. Just go to a couple of the Pitcairn videos and say, YouTube, don't go to Pitcairn. We're going to crush the criminals of Pitcairn. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Russell Scott, and today I want to talk more about Pitcairn Island. This is the third show I've done on Pitcairn, and it's gotten some interest, that's for sure, and it certainly got my interest. Because the deeper I look into the Pitcairn story, the worse it gets. And this story is so unique, so unusual, you couldn't write it. This is one of those truth is stranger than fiction moments. Pitcairn Island. If you don't yet know about Pitcairn, just watch my video, Don't Go to Pitcairn. And I followed that video up with Don't Go to Pitcairn 2. And this is the third one. And I hate to say it, but this one is probably the most shocking of the three. Pitcairn. It's a fucked up place. You've heard me say that. Pitcairn. It's the Nigerian scam of the South Pacific. The people of Pitcairn? The trailer park trash of the sea. These are some of my better lines. But there is really nothing that could be said, or said in such a way that is good enough. The whole thing is so messed up, so warped, that you just have to research it for yourself and come up with your own words for it. This video assumes you know the story, that you're caught up. So if you haven't watched the first video, Don't Go to Pitcairn, listen to it, listen to the second one, or just come right to here. Doesn't matter, but you need the first one. It's the primer. Anyway, back in 2004, Steve Christian is the mayor. He gets caught for multiple counts of child rape. Him and 10 other men on the island also. This is an island of 50 people. The percentage may as well be 100%. What, there's one or two guys that aren't into it? That's the deviation. They're the weirdos on Pitcairn. If you're not raping children on Pitcairn, or you're not at least interested, there's something wrong with you. All the women there, after all, were having children at the age of 12, 13, 14 on the high side, and 15 you're getting on now. Those are the averages on Pitcairn. So Steve Christian goes to jail for a couple of years, and the mayor then becomes Mike Warren. And Mike Warren turns out to be far worse than even Steve Christian. Mike Warren had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of child pornography videos on his computer, and most of them were of children in acts of bondage. I know it's hard to listen to. It is awkward. It's awkward for me. So this guy not only gets caught with child pornography, but let's be real, there are degrees, and the stuff that he got caught with was of such a heinous nature. It's pure evil. And now the trial of Mike Warren begins. It's 2016. He was caught with this shit years and years ago. But because of all the legal issues and the postponements and the bullshit, he's only going to court for it now. And who's on the bench trying this man? Well, it's Judge Arthur Tompkins. Judge Arthur Tompkins has 2 assessors, they call them, and they help the judge with his rulings. And you're not going to believe who one of the assessors is. Steve
Christian. That's right. The mayor from 2004, Steve Christian, is one of the assessors helping the judge, Judge Tompkins, on his ruling against Mike Warren. A convicted, multiple rapist of children provides his expert opinion and assessment and helps with the ruling in this trial against Mike Warren, who was caught with hundreds of videos of child penetration bondage videos. And how did this whole thing get started? How did the authorities even get alerted to this whole pedophilia situation on the island in the first place? Well, it was Steve Christian's son, Randy Christian, who had been abusing a girl age of 5 years old. And that little girl complained. So this Steve Christian, who himself is a pedophile and has raised children to be pedophiles, and whose son is Randy Christian, the man who was abusing the 5-year-old girl who ultimately made the initial complaint of rapes on that island. Yes. His other son, Sean, he is now the mayor of Pitcairn. Are these the dumbest people on the planet? Steve Christian has the ear of the judge and has Mike Warren's fate in his hands. A kangaroo court. I've reached out to Kathy Marks. Kathy Marks has followed this case for the past 15-20 years. She wrote the book Lost Paradise. Not Paradise Lost, that's the poem by Milton. Lost Paradise. And she's followed this story better than anyone. I'm trying to get her on the show. I've got Jules McDonnell on the show next week, September 28th. That's confirmed. Jules McDonnell has been on the island. He's the star and director of the movie Take Me to Pitcairn. I've now been in email correspondence with the deputy mayor of Pitcairn. That's Charlene Warren Poe. Notice the name, Charlene Warren, Mike Warren. There's only so many names on Pitcairn. So you have Sean Christian as the mayor now. Sean Christian is the son of Steve Christian. Steve Christian was busted for rapes. Steve Christian's son Randy was raping a girl as young as 5. So now they naturally figured that Sean would be the best person for the job. So Sean's the mayor now. And Charlene Warren Poe, Charlene's a Warren. Mike Warren, he had unspeakable stuff on his computer. And was, by the way, also caught with an active live conversation with a 15-year-old. So they caught him with his hand in the cookie jar. They caught him in the act, too. And he'd actually tried to say he was just interested what this whole pedophilia thing was about. That was his defense. Sort of the Pete Townsend defense. I was just studying it. I just needed thousands and thousands of images and videos to study and really get a good grasp of what was going on here. Yeah, I jerked off to it. It's all in the name of research. Nothing going on here. And now prepare to have your blood run cold. Pitcairn has something called a Pitcairn Island Well-Being Charter. This is a document, you can read it yourself, and it's on the immigration.gov.pn/downloads/index page. And you can see all their documents there. They got the visitor visa application form, settlement application form, Pitcairn Island Child Wellbeing Charter. Here it is. The government of Pitcairn Island believe that all children on Pitcairn are entitled to live in a safe and nurturing environment. All residents of and visitors to Pitcairn must respect the rights of children. Anyone not abiding by the rules below should expect to be challenged. What we expect. All island children have their own trusted adults and cannot and will not engage with adults whom they do not trust. This is for their own safety. Parents will create a safe adult list for their children. There is a safe adult list for the children. Children cannot and will not engage with adults whom they do not trust. They have their own trusted adults and cannot and will not engage with adults whom they do not trust. There is a safe adult list. In other words, you're not speaking to the visitors about what goes on at Pitcairn. You have a list of people that you can talk to. You can talk to Charlene Warren, you can talk to Sean, you can talk to Miranda. You can't talk to anybody on the boat, though. You can't trust them. They're not on the list. You've been raped, you've been abused. You want to tell somebody. But there is only certain people you're allowed to talk to, and they aren't the people that visit the island. It's all being self-contained. They're keeping it there. They're not telling anybody what's going on. Everyone that's in a power position there is getting busted, or comes from a family that's incredibly involved with this. It's for their own safety. Whose safety? It's for the safety of those in power. Not the children. There's another rule. Visitors should not be unaccompanied with island children. Well, that seems kind of obvious, but again, that has to do with this other rule. You wouldn't want that island child telling anything to the visitor. We can't trust those visitors. They aren't on the list. Children who go out on cruise ships must be accompanied by a trusted family member at all times and must respect the rules on board. In other words, everything they say is being watched. And if they have a special complaint, it's not going to be directed to the visitors. They're not on the list. And if you want to go out to the cruise ship, you're going to be accompanied. You want to talk to the visitors, you want to look at them, you're going to be accompanied. We're going to make sure that everything and anything said is watched. What about the pedophiles that are going on the cruise ships? Are they watched? Is their every move monitored? Or are they allowed unrestricted access to the cruise ships? Those are pedophiles you're bringing on the cruise ship. What are their restrictions? The safe adult list. The only people that you're allowed to share those abuse claims with. And they aren't the outsiders. It's stranger than fiction. Like, comment, subscribe. I watched your documentary. I've been following the Mutiny on the Bounty story, and it all led me to Pitcairn, right?
Yeah.
Take me to Pitcairn. You took me to Pitcairn in the documentary.
Well, I'm glad I could be of service, yeah.
But after I started investigating the island and reading more about it, it got a little disturbing, right?
Yeah,
and,
it's a pretty fucked up place.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This is the very same line I used in the show. Yeah, it's Pitcairn. It's a fucked up place.
Oh, right.
So before we get into that, Jules, what inspired you? Because I know you're an educated guy. You would have known about the place you're going to. What inspired you to even go there in the first place?
Well, I'm pretty similar to you and to all the other people who were on the trip that I went on. It started when I was about 15, and I saw that film, The Bounty, with Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins. It was I just thought to myself, wow, yeah, that's amazing. It's like got sun, sea, adventure, survival, beautiful women, amazing sort of island. Paradise, big shirts. What was there not to like? I just thought it was just seemed like a properly adventurous, enigmatic place. And I've always, I don't know, there seems to be some mystique around it. Everyone who sees that story or reads about it just thinks, gosh, what a weird place. I'd love to go and find out what it's actually like there, because it's quite difficult these days to go to places which haven't been. I was saying how Pitcairn doesn't even have an airport, and it's pretty remote. I mean, and the fact that 50 people live there and are all related to these sailors, but quite a lot of them are related to the sailors from 200 years previous. I mean, it's just remarkable. I mean, it's hard to believe that they live there, and they, So yeah, that's what inspired me. I'll tell you what else inspired me actually. Is I was watching a TV show here. I've always wanted to be on TV. I wanted to do TV documentaries. I wanted to be a presenter basically. And the older I got, the more it was looking like I wasn't going to get anywhere. And I just thought to myself, okay, the last straw was when I saw this bloke doing some travel shows. I'm not going to say who it is, but I was watching him. He was on the BBC, and I just thought, God, you're rubbish. I could not believe how rubbish it was. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? I'm just going to go and do one on my own, and show that this can actually be, me with a crappy little camcorder as well, never having done it before. And I ended up having to edit the thing myself. I didn't know what I was doing. But people like it. And I was just annoyed that no one would, take me seriously. And I thought I better go out and do something with my life, otherwise I'll just be stuck selling kites on a bridge for the rest of my life.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Julesy here, he sells miniature kites for a living, right?
Yeah, yes, mini kites. I'll show you one if you like.
Sure.
There you go. I'll show you a special edition one.
You're watching the Russell Scott Show. We're here with Julian McDonnell, the star and director of Take Me to Pitcairn.
Of Take Me to Pitcairn. You still there?
I'm here.
Yeah, this is one of my kites. Now, this particular one is a.
Oh, look, and it's even got a picture of Jules on there.
Yeah. This is a special edition Jules Guides, because I also do mini videos about London, 2-minute long.
Yeah.
There's the Jules Guides amazing logo. Watch out for that logo.
So how much does how much did that package there cost?
Well, I sell them for £3. I stand well, I'm a peddler. Yeah. I can go wherever I want. But anyway, yeah, I do that just, because I'm an actor or whatever, and I have to try and make a bit of extra money here and there. But anyway, I didn't want to keep doing that, and I wanted to go and make films. So I didn't really want to be the filmmaker. I wanted just to be the presenter. But it turned out, the only way to do it was to do it myself and to edit it myself. I mean, when I was out there, I met a guy called Morris who was really helpful. So he helped quite a lot with it in the end.
Would you do it again if you?
Which I think.
Would you do it over again if you could do it?
Well, no, probably not. Not that particular trip. I mean, if I knew what I didn't enjoy it at all. I mean, I had a terrible time.
Are you serious?
I had a tough time because I'd been on that boat. Well, I'd been on the boat with the captain before, and I didn't get on with him, and it was quite hard work. I mean, I'm all right with him now, but at the time, he thought I was an idiot. He didn't realise why I was there. It's like he thought I was just there to be a deckhand and help on the boat, and I was there to make a film. And the other guy who had commissioned the boat in the first place hadn't told him, I wasn't paying for the boat trip because that part was a special deal between me and this guy who chartered it. So it was all a bit of a, of course, it's one of those things I enjoyed afterwards. But by the time the Pitcairn trip came, because I did it in 2 sections. I went to Phoenix Islands first, and then I went to stopped for a while in Sydney, and then I went back on the boat again. And I was dreading getting back onto it. And then we had all that nightmare, and the boat didn't seem very safe as well. So I was we were all pretty scared and upset. And there was a lot of arguing. I mean, we were all arguing. I made it look quite lighthearted in the film, but everyone there was pretty angry and upset. And by the time I got there, I did honestly think I was going to die. So I was just so relieved, and I just thought, I just want to go. I just want to go home.
Being the way you are.
Yeah, why are you being the way you are?
I'm the way I am.
Yeah.
I don't like going in big packs. I'm independent. I do my own thing.
Can I say we're sorry and start again?
I think you're fine.
I was supposed to go to Pitcairn. It's not going to happen. I'll have my own holiday on this island the way I want.
You see, you don't want to. You're always... Good. If that's the way you want to be.
Make it pleasure.
If you think that, okay, I make a pleasure.
He's trying to open up.
I'm trying to say sorry if that's the way you are.
He's trying to be nice.
For the audience, you have to watch Take Me to Pitcairn. Just YouTube it. It's on there. It has hundreds of thousands of hits.
Yeah, it does actually. You're right, and I might even have one moment. Yeah, you see.
Oh,
I've even got a DVD of the. I've even got a DVD. Take Me to Pitcairn. There it is.
Oh, look at that! That looks spectacular.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing about the film. It's basically, it's centered around the journey to Pitcairn, these struggles that you endured to getting to the island itself, right?
Yes.
And you did spend some time in the film being on Pitcairn, but I'd say it was somewhat abbreviated.
Yeah, the problem with being on Pitcairn was that the people there, as you probably learnt from looking into it, aren't all that happy to. They aren't so pleased with journalists or people. I mean, it was a miracle they let me film at all. I had to beg them. I had to do a bit of a kind of Hugh Grant sort of bumbling. I'm terribly sorry. Oh gosh, do you mind if I film this? Be awfully fun, wouldn't it? So I sort of turned into Hugh Laurie for a moment whilst I was trying to get them to let me film, because Ben Fogle went over there, who's a famous BBC presenter, travel presenter. I rather like him, actually. I met him, and he tried to get there, and they kicked him off because they heard he was from the BBC, and because they had a lot of bad press from the BBC during these trials they had over there, then they weren't happy, and so I was quite lucky to be able to film it. A few people have filmed there since, but when I went there wasn't really any good footage of the place or the people on it. So I was quite flattered, really, in the end.
What were your...
And Ben Fogle... sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say Ben Fogle actually came up to me when I was selling kites one day, and he said to me, "Oh, I saw your film, by the way, about Pitcairn. I really enjoyed it." So I thought it was really nice of him, because he watched it on an airplane, because it had actually been shown on Air Tahiti flights. My film, it was on the in-flight entertainment because it was in the Tahiti Film Festival. So yeah, no, it was quite nice.
What were your expectations of the islanders before you got there?
Well, yeah. Funnily enough, I hadn't been led to expect much. I mean, I'd been told that they can be a bit difficult, and so I was actually expecting them to be less accommodating. But in actual fact, I found them to be pretty friendly. They were suspicious. They were definitely a few of them were definitely suspicious, and some were more friendly than others. But by and large, they seemed all right to me. I didn't find that all of them were my type of person, but yeah. But the thing is that a lot of them they'd spent a lot of time off the island, so they'd a lot of them go to New Zealand and stuff, and a lot of the younger people. One of the problems on the island is that a lot of the young people go and study abroad, mostly New Zealand, and before returning when they're a bit older. So I don't know. I guess that could be some reason there. So a lot of the men there, a lot of people find it difficult to find a date, I suppose. But yeah, it must be weird. I mean, it must be difficult with so few people there. But the funny thing is that they do, by and large, seem to want to return there. I would go pretty crazy out there if I was on my own. Although they do have internet there and TV, so I suppose it's just what you're used to. I guess that it's home for them, and so they feel the need to get back there. Island people.
Yeah, in the movie Take Me to Pitcairn, there's a point where you say, I'd kind of like to get going now. I've done the tourist stuff.
Yeah, well, it's a small place. I mean,
how long did it take to do the tourist? How long was the tourist thing? 2 hours, 3 hours?
Well, I was there for 4 days, right? And wow. for me, that was plenty. And to be honest, I think that for them, that's plenty. I mean, I don't think they seem fairly non-fussed. They don't particularly want you to stay around for ages or anything. I think that it's hard to get there and for a visit anyway, because if you go on I don't know about there is a boat that does trips there actually, but it's called the Bounty Bay, is it? Oh no, that was
Claymore.
The Claymore, yeah. And I think that, but it is quite pricey to get on that, and it costs a lot of money to get to the point at which you have to take the boat as well. So, if you take a cruise, you won't get onto the island. You'll just stop nearby, and they'll come out and see you, because you can't. It's really rough landing. So yeah, 4 days on the island. I mean, that was really plenty for me. I was. They got big spiders as well, really big spiders. And I just thought to myself, you know, there's not a great deal to do. I mean, you know, you're staying with some people. I mean, the guy I was staying with, Terry Young, is related to one of the mutineers. He died, unfortunately, so he's dead now. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's this really tiny island. I mean, you can go and climb up to Christian's
They all
Cave,
seem
which I
really
failed to do,
fat,
'cause I'm
you
an
know?
idiot. Yeah. I mean, they are rather.
It's like birds that have been on an island too long that lose their ability to fly. You know, something has happened to these people. They have no predators, so they just fatten right up like the guys on the Wall-E ship, you know?
A lot of them are overweight. I'll give you that. I think it's probably the diet. I mean, they get a lot of stuff imported. I think these ships drop off stuff, and I mean, whilst they are self-sufficient to a certain degree, I think there's only so much you can do on an island like that. So they've probably got a lot of tinned food, a lot of, you know, I don't know. Imagine bad food, or they probably fry. I mean, I don't know. They fry that breadfruit plant. That's going to make it. But you know, Polynesians are given to being rather large. So, a few of them will have Polynesian blood. I mean, if you go to Samoa or any of those places, Tahiti, the people are, you know, they're quite big. You only have to look at the rugby teams from Samoa, and yeah, they're big people. So yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. They're big lads.
But it should be like the perfect diet, because they have this awesome, beautiful reef there where the fish must be just amazing for you. I mean, talk about you know, organic fish, right? You know, you get the best stuff in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Breadfruit. I mean, what's the problem?
Yeah, I don't think they. Yeah, exactly. I think it's more healthy just to live by the seaside in the Mediterranean. I mean, I think that there must be something that they're lacking, and they probably get a lot of stuff delivered with these ships that come around once every sort of 3 months or so. And I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know, man.
You know, I was watching a documentary.
I'm no doctor.
Yeah, well, I didn't think you were.
Sorry, you were saying.
You made me lose my place now.
You know, I mean, especially most people who go there would have an interest in the bounty. If you're not interested in the history of the bounty, then there's even less to see, really.
Well, you know, that whole bounty story is, you know, protecting these people, because without the bounty story, you're right. Why the fuck would you go there? And if nobody goes there, then, you know, they really have no way of sustaining themselves.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they rely on tourism. I mean, I think they're subsidized by the UK, because like they are an overseas territory. So yeah,
they're subsidized to the tune of £3 million per year.
Are they? Oh, did you look that up?
Yep.
Oh, right.
And
wow.
the European Union has sent them 5 million euros over the past few years as well. So there's only 42 people living there now. I
wonder how they'll cope once after Brexit then. That might have an impact. Yeah,
well, I mean, as a person, you know, you're obviously you live in London, right? You're a taxpayer, maybe. Yeah. And you know, what do you think about your tax dollars now that you've been to this island, pumping that kind of money for 42 people?
Yeah, it's well, you know, I'm all for things like that, because I think that I love history, and I like you know, to preserve these sorts of weird and wonderful places.
What about taking the people off the island, relocating them, and reclaiming it a UNESCO World Heritage Site, as they did with UN O'Henderson and Ducey?
What you propose actually remove the people who live there and put them somewhere else?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. I'd feel quite strongly about it if I lived there. I think. I mean, I'd be pretty upset. So on their behalf, yeah, I would. I don't think that's a very nice thing to do. But I mean, that's where they live. I mean, I suspect they could be self-sufficient. I mean, I think they kind of want to be. I I didn't sense a lot of love for the UK when I was over there. I think that they feel closer to New Zealand. I'm not quite sure the politics of it. I remember someone being there, sort of grumbling about Britain and stuff. But no, I can see your point. I mean, yeah, that is a lot of money to be spending on a tiny place with 40 nights. And you know, when I was there, it was 49, so they seem to be dropping like flies. It's a pity. But you know, an interesting thing about Pitcairn that I read is that they have the best eyesight in the world. The lowest case of myopia of every place in the world. They have the fewest cases of myopia. All that staring out to sea looking for shit.
Like Fletcher Christian sitting up there in the cave, peering out, paranoid, looking for the Admiralty.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, constantly, crapping himself. Yeah.
Did you have to?
It's a bit like that with me, actually.
Were you pressured to buy any of the souvenirs when you're on the island? Did you?
No,
buy a
they
shirt
didn't
or
see it.
anything?
Not at all. No. I think they gave me one, actually. I can't remember. Did they give me one? No, I didn't feel like they were pressurizing me. No, there was none of that. There was I mean, we did pay. I mean, I had to pay for the accommodation, and yeah, I mean,
which seems pretty expensive. I think $100, $150 a night.
Yeah, I guess it was something. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was. I think I paid something like 200 New Zealand dollars. Was it? So I was there for 4 days or something. Can't remember. They prefer dollars. They prefer New Zealand dollars. Or US dollars. They seem to prefer, actually, for some reason. Not sure why. I think officially the New Zealand dollar is their currency. So I showed up with all these New Zealand dollars, and they only wanted American dollars.
Maybe it's easier for them to trade with all the cruise ships that come by.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I mean, it is a fascinating place. I mean, it's fascinating. You definitely feel the history when you're there.
Well, let me ask you this.
I sat down there where they. Yeah.
Let's say you got a buddy, right? And money is no object. And he says, "Hey, Jules, should I go to Pitcairn?" What do you tell him?
Well, I'd probably say no. I mean, it's the sort of place that you. I mean, well, really, if you've. I wouldn't really, to be honest. I wouldn't go unless you have a real interest in it, because there's not much to do, and it's a long old way to travel. I mean, the guy that was with me, he was going for the diving. I mean, he wanted to go diving there. I mean, there is I think it is a protected area for if you're into scuba diving, definitely, because it's what's it called? A protected area, or a marine protected area.
Well, they've just opened the world's largest marine reserve there. Just happened.
Right, there you are.
Last week.
Oh, right. So it just goes to show. So it's a great place to go scuba diving, because you get some really interesting fish.
So there was this concern of fishing over there, because they thought, if the fishing ever comes, it would absolutely destroy the stocks overnight. So it's all been protected, Julian. This just came in last week.
Yeah, well, it's I'm glad to hear it, because I'm glad about that. I mean, there's also that in the Phoenix Islands, which is where I also went on the same trip. I forget what. Yeah, it's on these marine protected areas. So yeah, I mean, what's it called? Biosecurity. It's quite a big thing there. You have to sort of fill out a form about whether you've got a cold or flu before you land and stuff like that. And they're worried about if any rats or anything get onto the island, then there's trouble. So they start killing all the birds' eggs and stuff. So but yeah, I mean, for anyone who's interested in bird watching or scuba diving or history, then it's a great place to go. But if you're going there hoping to see a beautiful paradise-like island, then no, I probably wouldn't really suggest going there, just on the grounds that I mean, I suppose you said money is no object. It depends how you're going to get there. If you're going to sail there yourself and just drop by, then
time is always an object. So it's relative to what it's worth. Is it worth your time going there? If money wasn't an object.
Yeah, I mean, look, put it this way. I don't think you're going to go there and have a great time. I don't think you're going to go, whoa, yeah, this is great. Let's have a blast. Let's have a party. There's, you know, there's hardly anybody lives there. I mean, you're going to be on your own most of the time. You know, you can talk to a few of the people there, and you know, they'll probably be polite to you and nice enough. But you know, it's not like you can go down the pub and meet some chicks and sort of like to carry out. Do you know what I mean? When you go away somewhere, at least if you go to, I mean, even the Cook Islands or the, you know, Tahiti or somewhere, you know, they've got some stuff to go see. I mean, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people are into being really remote and being on their own. But if you're on your own, you're not really on your own there. If you want to be on your own, just go somewhere where there isn't anybody at all. You could go to one of the other atolls where no one resides. But no, I'm not trying to put people off going there. I mean, by all means, go visit. I mean, I thought it was fascinating. I'm really pleased. I will always remember that I went there, and the time that it's just, for me, it meant a lot, and for the people I was with, it meant a lot to all of us. We were just, I mean, just to stand in the same spot where they burnt the Bounty, it's just incredible to me. For me, it's amazing that there was a place where, you know, there was a time when that guy, the last one, what was he called? John Adams. He was the final one, and no one knew where these bounty mutineers had ended up, and then this American ship came by, and the captain or whatever saw this brown kid like sort of come out to him on a canoe and talk to him in English, and he said, "What the hell are you doing talking to me in English all the way out here 200 years ago?" You know. Wow. And it turned out that it was Fletcher Christian's son, and he went ashore, and there you go. He found that there was only one man left on the island, and he had something like 8 wives and 23 kids. and for me, that just to stand in the spot where he saw that, and to stand in the spot where they watched the Bounty burn, it's just, I don't know. I find those things really fascinating because I'm into that sort of stuff. But if you're not into that, then all you're going to see is
are there any relics on the island of the Bounty?
Well, yes, there are. Yeah, there's the Bounty's anchor is there. They've got the anchor. They've got a bell, I think, which was from the Bounty. I think a few of the islanders have got some souvenirs in their house. You know, plenty of nails from the Bounty, bits and pieces. I think the Bible. Oh, that's it. Yeah, but they've got a museum on the island. You know, with mostly stuff from the Bounty on it. In it. So there's the Bible that was on board, which was used to teach everybody to read. I think he used it to learn to read himself, actually, and he taught the kids and the Tahitians they're taken with them to read. So it's fascinating, you know. I find it amazing that the people are still there, and you know, there's still direct descendants living there. But like I said, you know, if you're not interested in that side of it, then all you're going to find is an island in the middle of absolutely nowhere, really difficult to get to, and expense.
You know, the sexual assault cases of 2004, Mike Warren, the mayor, and you know, he was busted just a few years ago with thousands of images, etc.
I think I met him. Yeah, I think I met him. Yeah,
bit of an arrogant fellow. What was your vibe talking to him when you met him?
Yeah, I mean, I found him. Yeah, he was a bit of an alpha male, and I'm not. So he was one of those guys who was I don't know. He reminded me a bit of one of those Australian cricket players who are a bit kind of, you know. So to me, I think he didn't particularly find me like all that engaging, and vice versa. I mean, we didn't. I mean, he was all right. He was a bit of a man's man, and I just thought, well, yeah, I think if it's the guy I'm thinking of, I mean, I can't,
it's Mike Warren. He was the mayor of Pitcairn.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think I know the guy. I mean, I didn't sort of dislike him particularly or anything, but we didn't. I remember he was very opinionated. That's what it was. He was very opinionated. I think yeah, he didn't like. So he and quite suspicious of me. So in that respect, it was kind of quite difficult to communicate with him in particular.
Well, he
But,
had hundreds and hundreds of videos of child bondage pornography on his computer.
oh right, yeah. Well, I mean, so
So the
I
guy
didn't
with the
talk-
video camera that doesn't live on the island, yeah, he might be a bit suspicious of you.
Yeah. Well, he, and not only he. I mean, they were all quite reticent about talking to me because they didn't. So actually, one of the reasons why I don't have much footage of the islanders is that they didn't want to talk in case I was, because they thought that I was just going to go back and sort of say, oh, here's that guy who did this, and here see this guy here, he's the one who was banged up for this, and so yeah, so because of that, they didn't talk to me that much, and yeah, that's probably why I was met with that kind of response from them. But they actually liked the film that I made because I didn't want to talk about that. I didn't want to go into those sorts of details in my film. It wasn't really what it was about. It wasn't the reason I went to the island. I mean, had I made a documentary about that sort of thing, yeah, I could have just concentrated on that alone, and it would have been an interesting documentary. But that wasn't really why I went there, and it felt a bit out of place in my one. It seems changing from the kind of humorous, funny sort of tack I had adopted. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, it was a bit unsettling that had all gone on. I mean, it was. I don't know. I think.
Well, was there anybody there that gave you? Was there anybody there that you particularly didn't like? Let's put it that way.
No,
without separate. You know, I'm not asking you to name anybody.
No, well, I can't name them anyway. I can't remember any of their names. I'm not even sure if I know who the mayor was. There's a guy there I think you're talking about, but he, in general, no, there wasn't anyone I didn't like. I mean, there were people that I just didn't, who I found didn't want to talk to me, and I was a bit resentful of that. But you know, given the situation, I suppose I can understand why. So they spoke to me as you would speak to someone if you didn't want them filming you, you know. And I meet with that here sometimes, you know, when I'm trying to film in public. Sometimes people are, look, don't talk about, no, look, don't film me. No, you're gonna film me. Well, are you gonna put this on TV? You know, they respond a bit like that. So some were a little bit like that, but other than that, none of them were kind of nasty or anything. They were actually, I was quite pleased because they let me burn the bounty on their little special celebration. Bounty day.
That's that's the penultimate scene in Take Me to Pitcairn, the burning of the bounty.
Yes,
that's a beautiful cardboard box.
If you like.
Fewer than 219 people in history have ever lit the bounty on Bounty Day, and on the 220th anniversary, the honour's all mine.
In the spring. By and by, we shall meet on the beautiful shore. In the spring, by and by, we shall meet on the beautiful shore. That was a real privilege. I'm so pleased. And they allowed me to burn it. It was really nice.
It was still honestly amazing. I mean, when I think that, you know, only 200 people have done it, you know, because
that's cool.
Because they've only been doing it for 200 years, presumably.
I was watching this documentary, Redfern History. Have you seen that one? Redfern, the guy goes around to the different British overseas territories, goes to Tristan da Cunha, and he goes to Pitcairn and whatnot.
Well, I was annoyed. Yeah, I was annoyed about that because that was actually my idea, except I didn't have the backing.
The backing,
that he obviously had.
But you're a much better presenter than that guy.
Well, that's what I think. And
you know, who was the most popular guy that I can recall is Keith Floyd, who did the Keith Cook's
Floyd on France,
Floyd on France, Floyd on Italy. All those.
I love Keith Floyd.
Right, that was basically a travel program, right?
Yeah. He was brilliant. He was a real natural and one of the first as well. And they show them occasionally here as well. And you know, you watch them. He's just so natural and charismatic. I really like it.
Yeah, to the audience, you know, you can see them all on YouTube.
I know.
Right?
Oh, I might watch a few of those.
Yeah, they're great, man. And
Yeah.
so, you know, you have that kind of Keith Floyd style where, you know, it's fun. Anyway, I was watching this Redfern one, and he's interviewing this single mom and like a 10-year-old girl. And he asks the girl, this girl living on Pitcairn, how many people do you think live in the city of London? And she goes, 100? 200?
Well, how old was this girl?
Maybe 9, 10 years old. 10 years old, I'd say grade 5, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it made me a little concerned.
I don't have kids, so.
Hey, you don't have kids? Well, they have a show here in North America, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And by grade 5, kids are generally smarter than most adults.
They know how many people... they know there's a few thousand at least.
Yeah, they know there's more than 100 or 200.
Yeah.
So
because sometimes you ask someone your age, you ask a 9-year-old how old they think you are, and they'll say, "Are you 100?" You know, and they mean it. Must be the grey. But no, yeah. Oh, I see. Well, yeah. I suppose. I suppose.
So, you know, I'm a little concerned about these children, right? And obviously the sex problems. And so my question is, did you see anything that concerned you? Did you keep an eye out for it, knowing that, you know, you would have known this going there beforehand?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, when I got there was what they've got now is they have a policeman on the island. He goes and he spends 6 months there. He's from New Zealand, and so they have this policeman there who's there to sort of just check up on things and make sure it's all going according to plan. But the interesting thing is, you know, they did have a prison over there. But I think they had to build the prison themselves, and then the people who were put into prison were required on the island to, you know, operate machinery and sort of, I know, water mills and electric generators and stuff. So anyone who was actually sentenced had to be a part-time convict. They were let out for a certain amount of the day so they could go and do all this stuff on the island. Is what I heard anyway. Yeah. I found quite interesting. And the weirdest thing is when they did do the trial. Well, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I mean, this is just what I can't remember if I read it or if I heard it. But the other interesting thing was that when they when they had the trials over there, that I just find it must have been a very strange sight, because they had to send British lawyers over and judges. So they had all these guys in black gowns and the lawyers' wigs and the judge's wig that they wear in England, and they all got off the boat in the boiling heat. Wearing this weird kind of gowns and stuff to go do this trial. So that must have been very strange.
Dude, they must just hate that visual of the British courts. That just sends them right back to those mutineer roots. Oh, no, not these guys.
Yeah, not these guys. I guess we got rid of them. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that must have been weird. But yeah, I mean, that side of it. I mean, I know. You're. I don't know if you were expecting me to launch into a tirade about them.
I'm not. What I'm asking is, you would have known information going in, right? So did you kind of keep an eye out for it?
Yeah, of course. I was keeping an eye out for anything weird. But everyone was pretty guarded over there, and there was this policeman there who, I spoke to the policeman, and he said, no, everything's going all right here. Everyone's sort of fairly well behaved now. So, it was a sad sort of state of affairs. I mean, it'd been going on for so long. It's hard to be able to, I don't know, get your head around it. No, I mean, I didn't notice anything particularly weird apart from, I mean, I think like you said, that the one thing that I did really notice was that the people were a bit overweight. I thought that was it, but well, I mean, maybe they don't get much exercise. They all go around the place on these big sort of buggies.
You don't have to look good on Pitcairn. That's the point. You can let yourself go.
I guess not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but regarding the education of these young people on the island, I mean, I suppose that's why they often leave around that age of 9 or 10 and go to New Zealand and get a proper education.
Yeah, now that their brains are mush, let's go educate them.
What?
Hey, you want to hear something unbelievable? You won't like this. You know who Sean Christian is, right?
I'm guessing he's one of the Christian family from Fletcher.
He was the mayor,
descended from Fletcher, but I don't know.
He was the mayor in the center of the 2004 sex scandal.
Oh, right. Okay. That's when it was 2004. I didn't actually know that.
He's sort of the center of that. But anyway, Sean Christian, he was one of these men convicted back in 2004. And now Mike Warren, that we already talked about, he's actually just going through those trials now. And the judge has an advisor. This advisor helps him with the ruling of the case. Guess who the advisor is? That's right. Sean Christian is the advisor to the judge.
Christian, I think. Really? I thought that the trials were all over with.
No, they're in New Zealand. This is the new one for Mike Warren.
Oh, they're carrying on, are they? I didn't know that.
And Sean Christian is actually advising the judge that's making the ruling about this guy who was the mayor. It's really weird.
Yeah, that does strike me as a little bit odd.
So let's talk about something else.
I mean, why not just get someone else?
Jules, you do these travel videos. You go around London. You show all these really cool little things like the ferryman's seat and these pubs where they do operettas. And tell us about Jules Travel Guides.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Jules Guides are like mini 2-minute video guides, currently about London. I mean, hoping to do more around the world, but they're designed not to give you masses of information. They're just quirky little bits because people these days tend to have quite short concentration span. And so you can just watch 1-2 minutes and go, huh. The kind of response from people that I'm trying to elicit is this one. I want people to watch it and go, huh, like that. That's about the level of humor. They're not hilarious, but they're aimed to be sort of charming and, a little bit funny, but no, not works of comic genius, but also to give you an idea of a Londoner's guide to London. I'm from London. I want to show the things that I find interesting in this town that you might not necessarily have heard about. And so there's less sort of Westminster Abbey, St. Paul's Cathedral. There's more sort of the man who paints chewing gum on the ground and funny little weird places where people got murdered and things like that. They're good fun. And on the julesguides.com website, there is actually a map view, so you can look at the map and you can select a mini Jules, and then you can click onto it and a 2-minute video will pop up. But a lot of people have been saying they want them to be longer than 2 minutes. I thought that 2 minutes was good because kids these days tend to have a short concentration span. But yeah,
well, that's a good thing. I watched him and I want him to be longer too.
No one pays me for them, so and in order to turn it into a longer piece, I have to do a lot more research and I have to do a lot more editing. So I figure I'll keep it at that for now until someone's saying.
Jules, I've watched quite a few of them. I think they're really well done. Every time I watch one of these videos, I learn something, right? Oh, and I live for that. I live for these little juicy factoids that frankly I don't think you're going to learn these things anywhere else.
Well, that's what they're for, really. I mean, I don't know why the bloody Mayor of London or visitlondon.com don't bloody pull their finger out and get in touch. But
I think you should.
Actually the Londonists.
Sorry to cut you off. I was going to say I think you should be on the news, like have a little travel segment.
Yes, I do too. I've been trying for years, but I'm 43 now. As if they're gonna, their idea of new talent is just somebody who looks and sounds exactly like everybody else. They are fun to. It's fun to learn a little thing like that. The idea is just that people sort of watch it, and I can't tell them everything about it, and I don't know everything about it. But if someone has an interest in it, say for example the ferryman's seat, then having seen that video may first of all when you're walking past it next time you'll go, oh, that's where that thing is that Julian showed me. Secondly, you might actually you decide to look into it further yourself and just read up on it a bit, because I can't possibly go into all that detail without making a proper film about it, and like I say, no one's paying me, so it takes me a while. Although the Londonist, which is another website who do videos about London and stuff about London, they have started to show some of my videos actually. So got a little thing going with him now. So yeah, I'm getting some. Well, at least finally.
To the audience, I want you to watch these videos, but not only watch them, share them too. Okay, post them to your Twitter, your Facebook. Help Jules get a little bigger here. Right? The guy's got a lot of talent. I really like him. I'd like to see his videos get tens of thousands of hits each. So, to the audience, help him out.
Russell, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. There's also a very interesting film about peddlers, how to be a peddler in Britain. I mean, there's one about big silence.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's a great film too. Are you going to do another one?
I'm funnily enough, I've just been to Sicily, so and this was actually a commission from somebody. So someone has paid me to go to Sicily and film a load of stuff about a town in Sicily called Cefalù, and so yeah, I've just finished doing a film for him, and I'm gonna do a longer one as well. So yeah, your dream might come true. You might get a slightly longer Jules guide on Sicily, but so that would be a bit of fun. Planning to carry on, do a few more, maybe go over to the States. Where are you based? Vancouver?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada. You ever been to Canada?
No, I've been to Toronto, but I'd like to go to Vancouver. I was just saying the other day to someone I'd like to go there. So if I come over, I'll have to come and be on your show in person.
I live 2 blocks from the beach, from English Bay. You can Google that and the pictures, and it's just one of the most beautiful cities on earth. You're
nice.
welcome to crash on my couch. I'll only charge you $80 a night.
Well, as long as you take New Zealand dollars, then we're in.
No,
but
no,
yeah,
I do prefer US dollars, actually, babe.
No, I'd be happy to come and visit, because I was just saying to I've got a friend who lives in Olympia, which is in America, but that's quite close to not just south of the border, I think. And yeah, I've got another friend in Vancouver. I know I'd like to go there. It looks really great, actually.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
So tell the audience one last time here, Jules.
There's every chance I'll come out there. You can give us a hand with some guides.
There you go. Well, there you go. You heard it here, folks. Julian McDonnell may come to Vancouver, and that's when shit gets serious. Julian, tell the audience once again your websites, your Twitter. What do you got on the internet?
Well, you should. Hang on, I haven't gone.
Once again, we're here with Julian McDonnell, the star and director of Take Me to Pitcairn.
Yeah, that's Take Me to Pitcairn. In case you Take Me to Pitcairn. Don't forget, you can watch the whole film at takemetopitcairn.com, actually. And if you want to watch any Jules Guides, you can go to julesguides.com. Jules is spelled Joolz or Z. And yeah, check them out, like them, follow me on Bookface and twit.com or whatever it is, and all that funny stuff that the kids do these days. I much appreciate it. The more followers, the more serious people actually start to take me.
Share, like, and watch the Julian McDonnell stuff, julesguides.com, everything. Take Me to Pitcairn. Jules, thank you so much for being a guest on the program today. It's been great.
Thanks, Russell. It's been emotional.
Cheers, buddy.